submit or you can just keep trying, right? So I'm just trying to find the right formula, the right ingredient to get things going out there today. And credit to SMU that made it very, very hard for that to happen.
Another week and sadly another loss for football. But this one shows just how far back the Temple football program really is. Temple field hockey got an important win last weekend against conference rival Villanova.
We'll take a look at how things stand in the Big East playoff hunt with 1 weekend to go.
And I'm Jackson Batchler here at Pearson McGonigal Hall. Today, the men's basketball team is having its media day. We'll be hearing from head coach Adam Fisher with a live report. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello, welcome to OwlSports Update. Alongside Paddy Heckard, I'm Natalie Koranda, and we have an exciting show today.
It's coming down to the last conference game. Temple field hockey faced off against Villanova last Friday, a game with big playoff implications. Both teams entered with matching records and tied for the last Big East playoff spot.
The matchup took place at the Temple Sports Complex, both teams hungry to secure a spot in the top 4 to make playoffs. Starting off, Temple hits the ball up from a penalty shot, and Devil Kinzel finds the goal, making her first goal of the season. Temple's Elise Mays brings the ball all the way above the 25-yard line and dodges Villanova's goalie, registering another point for the Owls. Moving into the second period, Villanova is trailing behind as they struggle to find possession. Temple finds the ball again, going in for another goal, but Nova is all over trying to get that ball back for another chance. The ball is knocked out of bounds and they are forced to reset. Coming out of another penalty shot, the pass is completed by Temple's Devin Kinzel and she finds the cage, securing her second goal of the season. Halfway into the third and coming out of a penalty shot, Temple's Tess Muller gets the fourth goal of the game. There were no goals in the fourth period, which makes the final score 4-0.
After that big win versus Villanova, Temple is now in a 3-way tie for third place in the Big East with 1 game to go. Remember, the top 4 teams make the playoffs. Temple will secure a postseason bid with a win against Quinnipiac on Friday. But if the Owls lose, they will need some help to get into the postseason. Every year, it's important to make the playoffs, but this year is even more important for the Owls because Temple hosts the tournament. It's not a good look for the Owls to miss the postseason tournament that they're hosting.
Here's the Quinnipiac matchup at 3 p.m. on Friday. So Temple's biggest game of the season is a road matchup in Connecticut. This won't be an easy one. At the 2-4, the Bobcats can still make the playoffs too, but they will have to win this game. After this game, the Owls will have 1 regular season matchup left against Lafayette from the Patriot League.
Temple football was back in action on Friday night to take on SMU at the Link. Here in the first, quarterback Preston Stone launches one downfield to Jordan Curley, who comes down with a 43-yard gain. Now in the red zone, Jordan Hudson makes a great catch over the defender to put SMU up by 14. Another red zone visit, another touchdown. RJ Maryland makes the catch to make it 21-0 SMU. Stone finds an open Jordan Hudson, and he jukes past the Temple defense for 16 yards and a first down. Now to the second half. Preston Stone fakes out the defense and even the camera person with a QB keeper for a 21-yard touchdown. Temple with the ball. Forsbrook escapes the pocket, but for the throw, he's picked off by Chris Adamora. SMU in the red zone once again. This time, Kevin Jennings gets the QB keeper for a touchdown for the last score of the game. It wasn't pretty. Final score, 55-0.
Hey, the one thing I love about this football team is I know they're not going to give up on the fight, and nor am I. You know, we're not going to hang our heads down, and you know, we're going to really address this film thoroughly, and we're going to find a way to get the things better that need to get better. We're looking forward to this bye week, and you know, I got to be very, very smart how we go about organizing it. Some guys have really got to get healthy. Got beat up out here again today. Some key guys. We'll assess the injury piece. Once we get to, get them looked at in the.
The Owls are at the bottom of the conference standings. Any chance of grabbing a bowl game is just about mathematically impossible. We have Inside the Nest beat reporter Hayden Bandel live at the studio to give his input, and the Bandel breakdown looks a little different this week. Hey, Hayden.
Hey, Natalie.
Our first question is, every Tuesday in our live noon show, you give your game prediction, and you're perfect this year, 7-0. Do you truly believe that this was going to be a rough season from the start?
No, I believe that we would see progression in year 2 of the Drayton era. Honestly, and it sounds crazy, but I was optimistic that the team could go to a bowl game this season. The moment I realized the struggle of the team was the first conference matchup versus Tulsa. That game was supposed to be neck and neck, as Temple was 10th in the preseason poll and Tulsa 11th. But the Owls didn't just lose, they lost by 22 points.
So Hayden, what are the possible off-season consequences Temple may face if they lose the next 4 games, or even if they win 1 or 2?
Obviously, the consequences are the transfers who may leave the program, but the bigger question is the new recruits that the program wants to bring in. They're 0-2 against Rutgers the past 2 seasons, a program that they battle a lot with for recruits. It's easier to get someone to come to a program when they can show them that you can beat other programs that they are interested in. Drayton is not on the hot seat, but if they continue to lose and push recruits away, then it'll be a different story.
Alrighty, and our final question, do you think they have a win in them somewhere in these last 4 games, or are you predicting a winless conference play season?
No, I see Temple going winless in conference play. Just breaking down the schedule, they will not be able to stop Navy's run game. South Florida, the only AAC team Temple beat last year, is much improved. UAB has one of the better QBs in the conference. Jacob Zeno is 2nd in passing yards, and his 74 completion percentage is top in the AAC. Then, Memphis is a team fighting for a spot in the conference championship. It is really hard to see the Owls pull off any of these wins.
Hayden, it's always a pleasure having you on the show.
We're still hoping there'll be a positive Bandel breakdown sometime in the future.
Looking forward to it.
More than 31,000 people are living with ALS in the United States. There is no cure for this deadly neurological disease that impacts nerve cells. But Temple kicker Camden Price is doing what he can to help find a cure. OwlSports Update's Kayla Levine takes a look.
There is no guarantee Temple will win every football game, but just about every week, Owls kicker Camden Price makes a winner out of those fighting ALS.
Perfect. Camden Price right down the chute.
Price has been collaborating with the ALS Hope Foundation for their charity campaign, Kick for a Cause, this entire season.
The Kick for a Cause campaign is something I started this summer for this season, where we're trying to raise as much money and awareness for ALS patients and their families.
Price came up with the charity idea after being introduced last spring to the foundation by former Temple offensive lineman Adam Klein. Price met Jamie Pickett, the executive director of the foundation, at a gala with his team.
He came up with the idea for kicking for a cause, and he said that he would want to do a pledge for all the points that he scores, and maybe he can raise money to help people living with ALS.
Camden Price puts in a great deal of time and devotion into the Kick for a Cause campaign. He even puts in a hands-on approach for Philadelphia area patients. Although Camden is only a student, he has already made such a positive impact in the ALS community.
So it's a cause that needs the help, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get as much money raised.
Price has raised more than $4,000 so far. In part thanks to his 4 field goals and 15 extra points, he's also recruiting donors to help him increase this number, with the end goal being $25,000. Reporting from Lincoln Financial Field, I'm Kayla Levine, OwlSports Update.
It's time for our first break. Later in the show, we're hopping in the boat at the Schuylkill River to catch up with one Temple rower who's making the most of his late start.
We'll spend some time here at the practice facility talking men's basketball. Media Day is about to begin with first-year head coach Adam Fisher. OwlSports Update returns in just 90 seconds.
Welcome back. Men's soccer was unable to get the win against conference rival Memphis on the road last Saturday. 2 goals from Tesho Kobayashi and Rocco Hoifgluckner weren't enough to get it done for the Owls. The Tigers take this one 4-2. Heckard is one of 2 new German stars for the Owls, and despite the loss and losing season, there's lots of optimism. OwlSports Update's Selena Turner takes a look.
Temple men's soccer has had a much better second half of the season, thanks to wins against FAU at home and the nationally ranked Syracuse on the road.
Up top, a shot and a goal!
The reason for this turnaround starts with 2 German underclassmen from the top level of German soccer, the Bundesliga. For number 10, Felix Ewald, and number 11, Rocco Heckard, it didn't take long to get used to their new environment. Both players have scored or assisted in 11 out of the Owls' 17 goals this year, including that game winner against defending national champion Syracuse.
Yeah, it was a great moment, I think. He played his perfect ball to me, and then I saw him screaming at me, play it back to him, and I squared it over, and he did a perfect finish. It was a great, great moment.
Heckard and Ewald played for the under-17 and under-19 teams of Bundesliga clubs before coming to Temple. They didn't play on the same team, but gaining experience from the same league has been valuable.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, they're very good players, as you can see, but I think their kind of professional attitude about the way they go about things on a day-to-day basis is certainly helpful.
For many American soccer players, it's a dream come true to have the opportunity to play soccer in a European league. But for Felix and Rocco, they turn this one around, moving from a European league to the U.S., not only to play, but to get an education.
I think the biggest point was that you can combine academics and soccer pretty well here.
Temple has just 2 games left in the regular season and sits 2 spots out of the AAC tournament, leaving Felix and Rocco with just a little bit of time to move the Owls into the postseason for the first time since 2019. Reporting from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm Selena Turner, OwlSports Update.
Brandon Van Buren is a member of Temple's crew team. He had a late start compared to most people, but he took it as an opportunity to work harder, and it's paying off.
It's just about making sure the team's energy is doing well and that communication is good between the coaches and the athletes.
Brandon Van Buren is the engine of Temple's Varsity 8.
Good brotherhood, good synergy is essentially my moral skill for this team.
Van Buren, as the captain, is at the top of the list for the men's top boat. But his trip to Temple and into this sport came with unusual turns. Van Buren has only been rowing for 7 years.
I got a really great opportunity to accelerate my rowing when coming to America, because a lot of guys end up rowing for 12, 15 years, so my career is actually pretty short compared to most guys.
The Temple senior arrived in Philly in 2020. It was always his dream to be in the States.
Let's do this.
The teaching styles he learned in South Africa, while they are a little different, they still translated to his success on the Schuylkill.
There's a lot more focus on erging in America, where in South Africa it's a lot more focused on technical rowing, but for the most part it's all the same thing, put your blade in, crank, and be fast in the crew next to you.
Van Buren sits in the 3rd seat, a section designated for the strongest members of the team.
We have this, we got this. Come on, everyone here.
Yeah. So each seat has its own technical ability. So your middle 4 guys are your powerhouses. So it's your strongest guys. So 3 seat and 4 seat are really good power applicators. Essentially we just sit together and it's crank the boat. That's our only job really.
The fall season is underway and the team will be back on the water on October 28th for the Head of the Schuylkill Regatta. Van Buren has one last season in him as he plans to graduate in spring 2024. Last weekend, the team traveled up to Boston for the Head of the Charles Regatta. The Owls had 2 boats in the 42-boat regatta. The Varsity 8 brought home a 5th place finish with a time of 15 minutes and 30 seconds, and the second boat placed 15th with a time of 16 minutes and 3 seconds. We are at our next break of the show. Here is a live look at the practice facility where men's head coach Adam Fisher is about to speak to the media team as his team gets ready for the upcoming season. We will take parts of this news conference live on the other side.
Plus, teamwork is back. See you in 90 seconds. Welcome back to OwlSports Update. We now go live to McGonigal Hall to hear new basketball head coach Adam Fisher give his remarks ahead of the 2023-24 season. Let's listen in.
But I think we've had, when you have a great staff, and my staff's been amazing. These guys are awesome. They've helped our team, our players so much. So they've kind of helped us prepare to get ready for that first game. So I think we've had a lot of time. And, now you want to see it against another opponent, right? You see what it is against us every day, cherry and white. But now you want to see it against somebody else with the bright lights.
With the rule changes, with them changing things up a little bit with charging, I know you want to shoot a lot of threes, but is there more of an opportunity now to tell guys, like, hey, I really, really want you to get to the rim? And if so, are there guys on the team where you think that could really benefit their game?
Yeah, it's a great question. There are some rule changes here. We've gone over it with our guys. I think it affects your offense and your defense, right? If you're the secondary help defender and you're late, you almost have to just jump now, right? Because if not, it's going to be basically called a block. And you're going to see, we've worked on our emotions. I don't want guys thinking they took a charge. Now they're throwing up their hands. We want to be cool, calm, and collective. It's something we talk about a lot. Jordan Riley does a great job getting downhill. I think you're going to see this is a guy who can shoot the three, but man, when he gets downhill going strong, Hasir Miller's another guy, Quante Berry, Shane DeSoni. A lot of our guys do a really good job of straight line driving, and hopefully that rule change will help them. You've got to be set to take that charge, and I think that takes out some of the, maybe some inconsistencies you've seen throughout the last 5 years in that block charge debate. So it's something we've addressed with our guys, and we want to play off 2 feet anyway, so we've talked a lot about that.
When you bring in some of these transfers that have been around college basketball a lot, obviously you want your older kids to be leaders. What's sort of the challenges for them in being a leader when they're in a new program and they're also trying to learn what you want out of them and out of the program?
No, I think it's a great question, Josh. I think the best thing is everybody's new, and we've talked about that. I'm new. They're all new to what we're trying to do. So, we talked about from the beginning. We have 14 guys on the team, and right now there's 0 starters. And people think that's a little bit silly to say, but it's the truth. We wanted 14 guys coming out, learning our system, learning what our terminology is. That's such a big thing that we've spent a lot of time on this offseason. You might say, lift man. Somebody might say shake action. It could be the same thing, but we want it all to be the same word so everybody's on the same page. So I think that's been probably one of the strengths of having a new coach, is that anybody you bring in is learning everything for the first time. So whether you've been at Temple or not, you could still be a leader. I think what's been great is the returners they love this place, right? Everybody had a chance to leave. The guys that stayed, they bleed cherry and white, so they can help with a lot of the university stuff and things of that nature, which has been great for our guys.
We are all eager to see Adam Fisher as the new head coach this season, especially all those new faces we're going to see on this Temple basketball team.
We will check back in with our reporter Jackson Batchler if there is a break in the action a bit later in the show to get his thoughts on what Coach Fisher had to say.
The Owls kick off their game schedule against Maryland Eastern Shore at home on November 6th. The Owls had their first 2 away games against Navy and Drexel on the 10th and 14th, and will close out November with 3 games at home against Columbia, Ole Miss, and LaSalle.
We are back with teamwork. This week, we are focusing on the men's soccer team.
We talked to sophomores Felix Ewald and Rocco Hoifgluckner about the team's dynamic and what the future holds for men's soccer.
The first point we're going to cover is the team's youthful production. Nearly 2/3 of the team is underclassmen, and they're getting a lot of time in games this season. Their last matchup against Memphis, 7 of the team's starting 11 were underclassmen. Not to mention the top 5 goal scorers and assisters are freshmen and sophomores. When looking at the future of this team and players they have, it looks solid despite their record this season.
And on to the second point, strengthening their mentality. The team feels like they have all the pieces together at practice, but needs to show that ability on the big stage. As we mentioned earlier, this is a young team. A lot of players are getting their first opportunities in live games this season. Temple lost 12 upperclassmen from last season and is missing that extra veteran leadership and experience that those guys add to this team. This is an issue that can be fixed with time, and judging by the underclassmen's performance so far, they will get there in no time. Now we're going to look at 2 great highlights from the team's underclassmen this season, starting off with Leighton Imparato against Syracuse. Tesho Kobayashi plays a great through ball here to Leighton Imparato, but look at the run that Leighton makes on this play here. He splits the 2 center backs perfectly and then just puts enough on the ball to get it past the goalie.
Now against FAU, Felix Ewald anticipates the bad touch by the FAU defender, but he keeps the pressure on as he works towards that goal. Still fighting with the defender, he is finally able to intercept that ball and gain possession. He moves past the goalie and takes advantage of that open goal and kicks it right in, bringing the score 3-0. That was the final score against FAU, 3-0. The men have 2 must-win games left in the regular season. The team will need to defeat Tulsa and SMU for any chance at a conference playoff spot.
That's going to be it for this week's edition of Teamwork. In 2 weeks' time, we'll be back to cover another team on campus.
We're up against our final break of the show, but don't go anywhere. When we return, we will go back to the basketball practice facility and discuss some takeaways with Jackson Batchler.
Also, the Philly 5 has been a fun fall off-season tournament for years for the women's lacrosse team. We'll take a look. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Men's hoop coach Adam Fisher is wrapping up his first preseason news conference.
Let's head back to the team's practice facility where OwlSports Update's Jackson Batchler is standing by.
Thanks, Paddy. Coach Adam Fisher had plenty to say about his team coming into the 2023 season. In his first year, Fisher's main point that he emphasized was finding a balance between student athletics and academics. Fisher also talked about how young his team is and finding a balance and chemistry between some of the young, new guys versus the returning players. Fisher also said that while he has 14 guys that are capable of seeing action, he says right now, coming into the season, that he has 0 starters solidified. From this point on, he's looking for 5 guys that can step up. But right now, he talked about Jordan Riley and Heiser Miller as players that not only can shoot on the perimeter, but are also doing a great job of getting to the rim. Additionally, Adam Fisher talked about how excited he is coming in to the season with the November 6th matchup. Fisher cannot wait, and he's excited for his team, but he keeps finding new implementations at practice each day and building experience. That's all I have so far. Back to you guys in the studio.
Thanks, Jackson. For the last 16 years, lacrosse head coach Bonnie Rosen has hosted the off-season Philly 5 tournament at the Temple Sports Complex. Women's lacrosse teams from Philadelphia gather for a day of family, festivities, and play. OwlSports Update's Jackson Batchler has many hats, and he's here with this report.
The Philly 5 Women's Lacrosse Tournament has been an off-season tradition for almost 2 decades.
I mean, everything about today is really about how we kind of set the tone heading into the season.
This 10-game extravaganza starts before breakfast and ends at around dinner. It's an off-season test, and it gives local coaches the opportunity to experiment with their rosters without the pressure of wins and losses.
You know, for us, really, we're focused on trying to find the small wins on the field today, the small little moments together, the extra ground balls, a good pass that leads to a good pass. And so it's an opportunity for everyone to figure out how to build the game well.
It is a long day full of many games here at the Temple Sports Complex. But today is more about promoting women's lacrosse and building chemistry between players.
I think a lot of people don't recognize the history that all these schools have together, so I just think that everyone loves it. Between the fans and the players, I think this is one of the biggest days to showcase, you know, Philadelphia lacrosse.
Temple won 2, tied 1, and lost 1 in its 4 games. And every single player on their roster got the chance to play.
A lot of girls get to see their friends from home or girls they used to play club with from other teams, so it's really great, and a lot of families come and we get to have a lot of fun. So. And
in the end, with fans from all 5 schools present, players from all corners of Philadelphia were able to catch up with old friends and mingle with peers. Reporting from the Temple Sports Complex, I'm Jackson Batchler, OwlSports Update.
From all of us at OwlSports Update, we want to wish you a happy Halloween, and thanks for creeping it real with us.
On behalf of the entire crew, he's Paddy Heckard, I'm Natalie Koranda, and the next time you see us, we will finally have regular basketball season coverage. Thanks for joining us.